Well, extremely disappointed for our football team and our fan base, and give Appalachian State credit. They did the things they had to do to win the game. The 2 kickoff returns to gain field position, and the interception, pick 6 was a huge momentum for them. But extremely disappointed for our seniors. When we don't have the ability right now where we are offensively to run the football, we're going to struggle, and it was evident of that. We had a bunch of drops. Drop 4, the pick 6 touchdown. Ryan threw the ball well. But it's hard to rely on some things in the passing game right now. We're just so inconsistent with personnel and different things that are obviously affecting our football team, as far as those things are concerned, But give them credit. They made the plays they had to make when they did, and we didn't make enough of them. We're just not efficient enough to have any production offensively until the end. So I'll open up for any questions.
Raise your hand. We'll get a microphone to you.
Will, how are Chavis and Shy Smith?
I'm expecting, I think, Shy back next week, and hopefully Chavis the same. He's had a lingering hamstring, both of them, for the last 2 or 3 weeks.
You mentioned the running game struggles. Just the offensive line seemed to be getting no push at all.
We got no push. They outnumbered us in the box, and we were inefficient throwing the football when we needed to early in the game.
How can that get repaired in the next 3 weeks?
I mean, we've run the ball well other than 3 ball games, and we've lost all 3 games in those situations because we don't have a second pitch. I mean, we run it and create some things, but we've got to be more efficient. We got to be able to run the ball. Knew it going into the game.
Didn't think I saw Ortre in the game. Was he banged up, or what was the?
Yeah, he's got still bothering his knee a little bit, and just hadn't been able to practice as much, and it's been kind of touch and go whether or not he can go or not, and just that's kind of where we are. So.
Do you feel like you need to make any offensive coaching changes?
Right now, we just need to be more productive, and no, not at this time. We're inconsistent in personnel and what we've got to be able to do. It's a little bit unfair out there right now, So we're struggling in a lot of ways as far as those things are concerned, but we need to be more productive.
What was Brian's injury midway through the game?
No, he just sprained his knee. He was fine. They got him loosened up at halftime. It tightened up a little bit in the first half, and he got it loose at halftime and was able to go.
Well, with Ryan, I know he's still trying to get used to everything as a freshman, but do you see him throwing the ball maybe a little too fast? Could that lead to some of the drops?
No, I mean, when it hits your hands, we expect you to catch it. And we had several times it hits the guys in the hands, they don't catch the football. So it's frustrating. We need to cash in on those situations better than we have.
Coach, you mentioned the kick return issues there. Have the special teams gone down because of injuries too, or is that a separate issue?
No, I think that one time that we had them hemmed up, Heath, and we missed a tackle, leveraging the ball from the field, and they bounced it back to the field on the second half return, and then on the first half turn, the kick positioning of the kick was not where it needs to be, and that's been an issue for Will the last couple of weeks.
Will, it looked like towards the end of the game, Dylan Wan was having some issues. Was that injury related, or just trying to get back into the swing of things? Or
well, I think that when you get in that situation, when we didn't have any timeouts, and they've got some good edge guys. 24 is a really good loose hip guy as far as the rush is concerned, and when they're able to rush on the edges like that, when they know you can't run the ball and you don't have any timeouts, that creates some issues.
When you looked at film, did you think you'd be able to run the ball against these guys?
We did. We felt good about being able to run the ball, and we did.
Defensively, what did you think about your effort?
When you hold a team to 200 yards, they've gained field position on the kickoff return to start the game for the first field goal. Put themselves in a position for the touchdown in the second half on the other kickoff return on our side of the 50. You give up a pick 6 and another field goal to a really efficient offense. I thought we played well.
Without obviously you haven't watched the film, but do you know why you weren't able to run the ball
No,
when you thought
we
you
need
could?
to go back and watch it. Felt they were moving a lot, which we knew that coming into the game. We had a hard time with the movement. That was the major issue.
Well, you mentioned before that you got a lot of great guys in the locker room. How do they respond to this with their backs against the wall in terms of the bowl?
They'll be fine. They're hurting right now. I mean, it hurts. We knew they were a good football team coming in, and we needed to play better than we did, and we needed to coach better than we did.
you kind of mentioned it already, but just how much of the offensive struggles were scheme things that you were doing wrong, or was it just execution or poor or lack of consistency for
Well, I think you got to look at everything across the board. I mean, we have some inconsistencies as far as personnel, which is obvious outside. And then we just didn't do a good enough job up front blocking them in the run game to create some run game for us, So we need to go back and evaluate what we thought was going to be good going into the game, because obviously it wasn't. And then go back and figure out, why we didn't get as much movement up front as we didn't. I mean, we got stalemated on the line of scrimmage by a smaller defensive line. So those are things we've got to evaluate.
Kind of taking me through that last drive, you guys got obviously the Brian Edwards catch and then you get the ball back. Did you feel good about your chances as you convert, I guess, a really long third down and a really long fourth down with Rico there? How good did you feel about your chances once those things happened?
Yeah, I mean, I think with Ryan's ability to throw the football down the field and having guys like Brian Edwards and Xavier and some guys that can really go high point the football and finish on a play down the field, yeah, sure, you felt great about it.
Did Trey Adkins show you anything particular to kind of earn the playing time today, or was it just more a lack of other bodies at this point?
Well, no, Trey's done a nice job. We've got a lot of confidence in Trey. Trey's a guy that's worked extremely hard, and just because he's a walk-on doesn't mean he can't be a good player. And he's been productive for us before in practice, and this has been his first game situation. I think maybe he's caught another ball, maybe against Charleston Southern or somebody, but he's a guy that does a nice job for us. Yeah.
Drops have been an issue in multiple weeks now, especially recently. What do you attribute that to?
John, you got to go back on the jugs machine. You got to catch more balls. You got to put yourself in position of running through windows in space, and the ball, disappearing between, bodies there as far as zone coverage is concerned, and make sure we're focusing on the football. I mean, those are things that I saw on the dig, early. That was a cover 2 look. The hook defender flashed, and it looked like we kind of got, shocked the ball was there. So I think those are some things, and running in traffic and catching the football and those sort of things.
And with the offensive line, you mentioned that the smaller Appalachian State guys got the best of them in the run game a lot. What kind of conversation do you have with Coach Wolford throughout the game, if anything, about personnel or changes, or how you want to approach that?
Well, we went away from some of the gap schemes that we've been running because they were running through with their linebackers. It wasn't necessarily as much as their front, but they were running through with linebackers. So we went to more zone schemes in the second half so we could collect and block gaps as far as some of the run-throughs are concerned. But we just weren't effective doing that as well.
I guess, what did you see on that last play where Brian broke open? What kind of happened that led to him getting that open?
Well, that's a play that we work on. It's for a high red zone route that it's a very difficult route to cover, and we executed it well. We just we got called for holding at the left tackle position. So even if we had scored it, we'd had to run another play. What was the route? It's just an over route.
Are you limited on what you can do offensively right now because of personnel? I mean, you mentioned you don't have a second pitch. Do you not have a second pitch because you don't have people who can run the second pitch because of injuries? Or do you just, this is what you would do even if you had your personnel?
No, I mean, I think that it's been frustrating when Ortre and Chavis Dawkins and Shy Smith, the 3 guys that have been starters for us, and they're not in the lineup right now. Xavier's a true freshman, he's doing a really good job. He's playing a bunch of snaps, and Brian obviously is playing extremely well. And we've got to have some more guys step up. I think we'll get Shy back next week. I think we'll get Ortre and Chavis back next week. That's what I'm hoping for. But again, I felt like there was a chance they might have been back this week. We got to get them back.
Coach, you talked about just how hurt the guys were after this game. How do you avoid this week snowballing into something a little more disappointing next week?
No, our guys will be fine. Our guys will fight. They've got a lot of resolve, and they haven't shown any of that at all in my time here at South Carolina. So we'll be fine.
Just wanted to double check. Kevian Mullins, Tyquan Johnson, are they both healthy?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
What did you think of the way to carry on was used tonight?
What's that?
What did you think of the way to carry on was used tonight?
Well, again, we were in a situation where, especially late in the game, we needed to utilize his skill at receiver. We're down some bodies, and that was something we had a plan going into the game regardless. We had some other, packages present for him at the quarterback position we never got to. All right, thank you.